Since last year's strike was suspended and with pleas from government to hold on a bit longer, it seems that workers have had enough and have threatened even bigger strikes this time around. This despite 2 people losing their lives and damage to property in the millions. One organisation that has been very vocal for immediate and significant change in the agri-sector is Cosatu. Its Regional Secretary in the Western Cape, Tony Ehrenreich, joins me now in Cape Town. A very good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us on the programme.
Good morning, thank you.
All right, Tony, government has been saying hold on. They can only sort this out when Parliament opens. Why have the workers lost patience in the process?
Well, for how long, much longer must workers hold on? 69 rand that farmers are paying workers are clearly starvation wages. People can't take care of their family, they can't provide basic things. They look across the way at the farmers' houses and they see big Mercedeses, opulence, and the children going to the best schools while they can't provide the basic things to their families and see their children having to go to bed without any food. You can't ask people to be patient in that context. It's 19 years of democracy. You still see the slave-master relationship on farms that we saw during apartheid. We see Agri-South Africa, which is an organization from the days of apartheid, still trying to maintain the apartheid generational advantage and not wanting to move into the modern era. And that's why workers have lost patience. They can't survive. This is a desperate plea from them. They've suspended the strike on 2 occasions to give negotiations a chance. But clearly farmers, in the main, there are some good farmers, I must stress, but in the main, the farmers want to continue making the huge profits that they do at the cost of workers and working families.
But is it true that all these farms are making huge profits? We were speaking to Agri SA this morning, and they say that a lot of farmers will go out of business if this full 150 Rand is given to these workers. And what will happen is that these workers will be unemployed.
Well, the thing here is that we must look at what the realities is. Of course, what else is Agri-South Africa going to say? They're here to defend their interests. They're here to defend the apartheid advantages that farmers got and don't want to give up. Farmers don't want to bring a more fair, just dispensation on the agricultural sector. That's why they've chased more than 1.5 million of workers off of farms since 1994. We need a new dispensation. We can't continue as things have been. But what we must appreciate is that it's obvious to anyone that the profits on the farms are high. This year alone, with the change in the exchange rate, farmers are going to make up to 17% more in their profits. So there's money on farms. Clearly, if there are few farms that can't afford, and these are minimalist farms, then they have to be consolidated into the bigger commercial farms. But the basic issue is you can't have workers and working class communities subsidizing the profits of farmers. We've got to find a new dispensation. That dispensation must be found in talks, not in protests, not in strikes, not in increased conflicts, but in talks. But Agri-South Africa refuses to negotiate. 2 months of discussions that have been held, facilitated at the highest level by government, but Agri-South Africa refuses to negotiate. There's a circular that they sent out in the Western Cape to their members, essentially calling on their members to arm themselves and to defend themselves against the anarchy of workers. But the most striking clause in that memorandum that they've sent out is encouraging farmers not to negotiate at the sectoral level, saying they must hold out, let the minister raise the minimums, because essentially the more and the longer they hold out to stop the increases, the longer they ensure their exorbitant profits. So that's the attitude that must change. We've got to find a new dispensation.
All right, so the last round of strikes, we saw a lot of violence, damage to property running into the millions, 2 people killed. They say that these strikes are going to be even bigger. How are you going to stop or prevent any violence and possible fatal injuries?
Well, we've called on the members participating, and these are not our members. 6% of farm workers are organized in unions, but Cosatu stands by these workers, and we're going to support them in whatever way we can. But we've called for peace, violence, and restraint. But the one thing we must say absolutely clearly, the farmers and their security companies have murdered one of the workers on the farms in the Western Cape here. Any attempts at that kind of brutality against workers, and there's going to be trouble. We're not going to allow a circumstance where people are mowed down, continue to be treated as they were under apartheid, and farmers act with impunity. We want negotiations, we want a solution, but we want a partner that government must also force to the table where we can find solution to these issues. Government must also come on board, because in many other countries there are subsidies to farmers to ensure that food security for the country, and that's a key part of the industries. What we need to structure here is a new industrial plan, a way that ensures that the agricultural advantages that we have translates into benefits for the whole country. But that has to mean that not only farmers can benefit and profit, workers also must see their lives improve and their families' prospects extended. And that's what we want to find, but we won't find it with the attitude of Agri-South Africa. We need leadership in agriculture that understands the foresightedness required for the agricultural sector in a modern global economy, and not this apartheid-based leadership that clearly can't see beyond their noses and have very little regard for farm workers.
I'm going to have to leave it there, unfortunately, but I'm sure that this is a conversation that will certainly be continuing. Tony, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the program today.